immediate pickup of the Pango afterwards.
Yeah, don't mind it. It's gonna feel nice. And again, another just classic hero for guts, something that he's played pretty frequently in the tournament, especially when they have this picking position. But there, it still keeps an air of mystery with the Monkey King, and I think that's where they're gonna probably still try to hide their core and probably pick up a 5 here. But for DogChamp, well, forward position wise, aside from the Scarth Mage, which maybe hurts a little bit, Marcy's still in the pool, Tiny's still in the pool. You could see them just turn the draft around. I feel like that's where we're not gonna see Yarn go for maybe a hero like the Lion that Hannes has been playing so frequently. Just doesn't feel necessary. And I think the Scarth Mage would have been a pretty nice pickup just versus the Pango. Force him to maybe go for an item to dispel, which you always want to avoid. You want to just be damage. You want to be initiation. You don't want to have to go back and look at your own game. But that's where I don't think there are too many other heroes for him. You could look at a hero like the Techies if you wanted to turn the draft around and get and fulfill a very similar role for the Skyreth, but I don't think it's going to be it. And yeah,
Okay.
Tiny just comes through for Yaren.
Simple, clean, easy, and hopefully for DogChamp effective. So gonna really mess things up too much. That's a Visage pick coming out, however, and yes, that does now basically kind of tell NoRunes what this Batrider is going to be doing position-wise, but I'm not sure you care. The Visage is unbelievably strong, but on the other side of things, that is going to be the Morphling, presumably in Minnie's hands.
Yeah, and of course, everybody shores up a lot of their issues, I think, as well. Does still put a question mark underneath that Monkey King's head. I feel like now we have to see Surem Snapfire, and then you just put Hannes on Monkey King, and now you're
Right.
looking for another offlaner here, which it feels the most correct. But DogChamp also just have good lanes all around. They've got an Undying. They've got who's just going to run around and cause problems for you. They've got a Batrider mid who doesn't lose versus Pango. They've got Visage Tiny. And of course, I think the Visage Tiny lane versus Morphling is interesting because we've seen Morph versus Visage. Of course, Morphling denies a whole bunch of creeps. You always have the base damage advantage. But then you might get popped just with how much damage comes out just inherently from the lane. It's also where you got to be careful if you're the 5 position here, because anytime Morphling goes into a trade, well, he just hits you, you hit him, the charges get up there, and you turn that base damage that Morphling has over you against him a little bit. But again, we'll have to see, because we've seen teams draft into the Morph Visage lane and draft to avoid it. So, I don't know, everybody has a different idea at who comes out ahead, but NoRunes, you know, they're kind of all in here with the Morphling. And you do have a question here now for DogChamp. What is Stonebank going to play into Morphling? Haven't seen too many teams find that happy medium ground just yet because, again, there aren't that many heroes that you want to play into Morph. I think the easy one for Stonebank right now is probably just the Troll Warlord, just a hero that can root up the Pango and also just sticks on top of you and, again, has other means of getting attack speed. So even though you're getting robbed, you're not exactly robbed. But, again, we'll have to see. Stonebank could also just look for the Ursa, same vein, but that's where what is he feeling today? You know, who knows? But NoRunes, they've got a little bit more of an interesting spot. They've got heroes that can move around a little bit more. They
Another
go
Weaver.
for the Weaver. Okay, NoRunes got maybe some pains. They're feeling it from Yuma in the last game already. But what do you want for your last pick here? Because DogChamp, you see them ban out 2 5s as their last choice here.
Right.
Is Surem really the one missing his hero at this point? Because that does change things up quite a bit for their lineup. And I don't know if that's necessarily the correct choice for them, but DogChamp, they feel like they've got their number.
Right, because what does this look like? It would either be, I guess, the Snapfire moved maybe to the off lane to make room for a 5, or DogChamp are looking at the Abba or the Omni as position 3 picks, which honestly kind of feels even worse than moving the Snapfire to me, but both of those heroes were ones that could shut down the Batrider initiation, so that's kind of the driving force behind it. It's just, how worried were you about that, considering what NoRunes have already put together? But I guess we'll have to see. If this does end up being a support pick in the final phase, then DogChamp are going to look like geniuses, but that's not quite what it is. It's more in line with what we originally anticipated, but the Centaur pick is a little bit of an interesting one, AT. Sure, you now have a frontline fighter, you have a pretty tanky person, you have some more lockdown, and the Stampede is going to be there, but the Stampede is not a guaranteed in or out of these fights, as we have seen in these last couple of days.
Yeah, and no save versus the lasso, which I think is important here. You just have to be very preemptive. It's where if RCY is trying to sneak up on you with the Firefly, You have to be really quick with it because a second too late and you're already captured. You can't run away while you're lassoed. You're just going to be stuck in that engagement. But then they do swap up things, so it does end up being Surem Snapfire, and that's where I think they were looking to take it, but in not getting a ranged offlaner, things might look a little bit weird. And again, we'll have to see. This isn't the first Centaur we've seen in the tournament, and sure, you've got enough base damage to actually last it pretty comfortably versus the Weaver, but it is always a matter of time. Centaur is not mobile. You are going to see Heiko sticking to his lane until he has his Blink Dagger, and the rest of the map is SOL. They are not going to be seeing any rotations. It's where I think Hannes is going to be put underneath a little bit more pressure if the lanes don't go as planned, but hopefully things go well for them, because otherwise, yeah, they are kind of stuck, and then they just have to wait for a good 10 minutes before you're going to get any support from Heiko.
Yeah, you don't want pressure put onto your position for Monkey King right now, because this is not the old pause for a monkey, right? He is not nearly as active or effective even, really, as he used to be. So definitely a scenario that you're going to want to avoid if you're NoRunes. Really hoping for them that their lanes kind of pan out. Otherwise, it could be a little bit of what we saw in that second game against SG, ET, where they were just kind of having to play further and further back as the game went on.
Yeah, for sure. And smoke up, place the ward, getting out on the map early yet again here. But aside from that, I feel like we could see things kind of simmer down. Really, nobody has the best level 1. I feel like that's where even Yaren, of course, just having the tree throw, not like there's any threat of avalanche or tossbacks. It's where we might just see everybody just walk away because nobody has the really ideal spell for killing here. And even in the Morphling, just one less hero for you to make a play with. So, I don't know. I can only imagine a 2-2 split is what's going to befall us. But you never know. Sometimes people like getting greedy. Sometimes people like dying.
Yeah, I suppose so. We've seen some wild stuff in terms of someone just walking up a ramp to their death, but very unlikely in this instance, right? And that is what it takes. As you also said, there's nobody who has a slow or a stun early on in this who's really going to be able to set anything up, so a quiet start, presumably, as B9 is going to attempt the reconnect. So there it is. Go when ready. Yeah, that's GG when ready. Is that some new innovative flame, ET? It's like, hey, GG whenever you feel like it, whenever you're comfortable.
Or perhaps his thing is auto-clicking. Maybe the keyboard is there. Maybe it's all just a scam, but nah, it's probably just a mistype, but we'll see, because my man's got 5 mangoes, got an orb of venom.
Okay,
now
right.
those are Ally Tracker game old plates. Those hit a little bit different, but look, there is some theft going on. Heiko gets a little bit ahead. There actually might lose a boundary in here, but there's actually small skirmishes everywhere.
A little bit of damage being traded out. That's a lot more than a little. Jesus, B9. Falling back. He's going to live, but he really just got the business on that one. And what's going on here? Stonebank is being chased. Heiko should not be able to do anything here, other than maybe force out some regen, although B9 gotta be a little careful there. Takes a little bit of extra damage, but it's all good. They're going to settle into the lanes, although I say it's all good. Bloody Nine did not come to this lane with any actual health regen. It's just 2 stacks of mangoes, so Stonebank actually has to give a tango to his laning partner. You very rarely see things turn around like that.
Yeah, and it's where maybe they really should have avoided too aggressive of a trade, but that's also where Hannes has Jingu, and of course level 1 Jingu is not the most impactful, but that's where unfortunately not having Tree Dance, maybe there's a little bit more of a fight for these ranged creep denies, but we'll have to see. And it's where he would have loved to snipe out this courier, but I think that's where B9 probably just gets his tangos now finally, and he's going to be a-okay.
Out of the danger zone, just fine. Now he still has the mangoes to spam out. It is bugging the hell out of me, though, that he used a little bit from each stack instead of just finishing one first. That kind of pisses me off, but you do you, B9. Just the OCD kicking in. But in the meantime, over on the other side of the map here, this lane for DogChamp is going to be where we see some aggressive potential, right? Yaren needs the levels, but Avatos into Soul Assumption is not going to be easy for these heroes to survive.
No, and you constantly have to be cautious anytime you make a play happen, especially with the Scatterbuster. And
Uh-oh,
there you
Yaren.
go. Not
Many
gonna
have
die, though.
waveform.
One more adaptive strike, though. Does he get the vision? No, doesn't have the cast range either, but... Oh, a little treat. Throw in, says, okay, you guys suck. I'm gonna walk back to base.
I'm getting out of here, he says, yeah. Long trip for Yaren, but the Visage should be okay in this lane. Italiano Gangster may have to play back a little bit, but...
Oh,
middle lane, Guts just gets beat. It's not even Firefly. That's just stacks into Flame Break. So we always talk about, you know, once you get those stacks on you, you have to take a step back, sit under your tower. But RCY says, I'm going to capitalize on that, and well, just playing a little bit too low on the Pangolier.
no, and unfortunately for Guts, again, he just kind of lets 6 stacks get up on him, just doesn't respect his opponent, and TP's back to the lane with all of the regen that was coming out on the courier. There's no worse feeling than spending 200 gold on regen that you would have loved to use and stay in lane, and you end up getting picked off in the intermediary. As Destroyer does not do that. He just buys boots. And oh no!
Okay, Firefly. He's got the Flame Break for the knockback. Guts does have the damage reduction from that shield crash, but it's not going to be enough. He'll die, and RCY won't fall to the tower. And Guts, you just TP'd the lane, so now he's got to walk.
Yeah, just not nice. And of course, you picked this. You wanted the Batrider. You decided not to switch up your lanes. So this is I don't want to say all your fault. You know, maybe the drafter expected a little bit more out of you, but that's definitely not ideal. At least though, you are able to get a kill onto that Visage in the bottom lane. Do trade, but still not too bad. You did get XP for the kill though for that Visage. So as we always talk about, trades in Visage lanes always tend to favor him just to accelerate that level 6, but still, you got the kill if you're that morph.
Yeah, Mini with his first kill, his team's first kill as well, so is going to be pretty important. Needs to have a strong start on that Morphling, and Italiano Gangster, though, does get to come back to the lane with all of his mana, so that Soul Assumption just going to be thrown out over and over again. In the meantime, looking back mid, Guts, he's really just put himself in a rough spot. Look at how far forward RCY gets to play. He's going to just go over, grab the first water rune. To be honest, he might make a play for the second, but okay, I was going to say Guts could beat him to it, but Guts has to play a little bit more cautiously.
No, he definitely does. He doesn't want to give up a third death here, a third soul kill as well, but that's also where supports are finally getting high enough level where we might see TP rotations if that dive does come through, but that's where you had to TP to survive top, so the Monkey King might not be in that same position, but it's also just becoming a very sad lane. It's just Guts watching RCY farm, basically, because anytime he does go too far forward, oh, he just kind of dies. Pretty much the worst case scenario for Guts.
This has to be passive in the middle lane. Never a fun time. As speaking of potentially not fun times, Italiano Gangster is dropping pretty low here. He did get the Grave Chill, though, onto the Morph, and that's a toss back that may have just killed his teammate. Does he live?
Fog.
Oh my god. Yaren, you like to live dangerously, and Italiano even gonna tip his teammate, saying, you know, well done, good job, but never do that again.
Yeah, could have been bad. Let's just say, but no, kind of a stroke of genius maybe from the tiny player, and who knows? As far as we know, Italiano Gangster was asking for it.
That's true. Yeah.
Can't tell what's going on in the comms, but I'm sure if Italiano did die, then maybe there would be some choice words exchanged. But no, it ends up working out, and again, more kills, more XP, closer to that level 6, and you're very happy because right now as well, the Monkey King has left the top lane. Heiko will be fine just in the 1v2 for now, but that's also where
Will he?
Oh no.
He's
and your
dropping.
5's forced to TP up here, and now Serem is locked out of bottom. Oh, they're getting just out-rotated a little bit here.
Man, not as tanky as he needed to be there on the Centaur. Of course, I mean, that's a tombstone thrown down onto you, so wasn't really normal circumstances.
And then
but...
look back mid.
Oh, they're going. Did they use Lasso? Yes, they did. He hit 6 well before Guts did. That's now a third death on the Pangolier. I suppose this one's not a solo kill this time, but that really doesn't matter. Even with Yarn there to help out, it's another killer move in the middle lane, and Guts just doesn't really get to do much of anything right now. Switching over to net worth, he is almost below Yaren. That's just an absolute nightmare.
Yeah, no, it just hasn't been working out for him, and hopefully has a little bit of farming time now, but also the support's just really awkward because they want to help him, they want to do something, but when you yourself aren't able to help yourself, you can't make your own rotations. He's going to be level 6 soon, so then maybe he can try to get something going for his game, but it's just really the rest of the map feeling the pressure being put on here. And now, well, if the Tiny stops showing on the map, he's going to show up on Heiko. Don't know if they can get this kill. It's going to be a long kill, but without the Weaver batting an eye, I feel like he's going to be fine.
Yeah. They needed that Weaver for the damage, and Heiko did a good job of kind of staying in between, right? If you come at me too soon, then I just turn on to the Undying and maybe get a kill, and so they had to kind of space it out, and that allows him to walk away. At the same time, though, Hane, he's made his way down bot. He is scouting out this Visage quite nicely. There's going to be the Primal Spring to start the fight, but where is their lockdown? Well, there it is. Found the strike, Cookie, Scatterblast slow, and Mini closes out the kill.
Yeah, poor Guts. He walks over. He was just like, I want some of that XP. Unfortunate, but just part of the game, and doesn't guess right on the rune either. Neither mid laner does, so it will maybe be a slight scramble as Guts is maybe pumping a little bit, but Boots of Travel are already done on the Bat Rider. RCY is just huge, and they actually give the Tiny the Invis rune.
There's the Abba,
back,
there's the toss.
Lasso. Well,
existence is pain for the Pangolier. That's, what, death number 4? No kills, no assists, and, hi, yeah, that's a Snapfire, just hanging out under the tower. Firefly was still up for a few seconds. Yarn comes in for the Abba, and they're going to be able to find another one. Cookie, worth a try, but not enough.
Oh yeah, and it just feels like the only thing going really right for them right now is the Morphling, who is still last hitting very nicely versus the Visage, but Visage gets level 6. Right after you kill him, you TP mid, you show your heroes, so they can't make that happen. And, ooh, okay. Almost we're going to make another attempt onto the Pango, but thankfully was just able to walk that one out. But still, the pressure is on everyone. DogChamp are just doing a good job right now with their lead.
And Heroes bot, though. Want to try onto the Visage. Same sort of group that made it the last time around. There's going to be the familiar stuns, though, to break it up. Still a waveform in from Mini. Italiano Gangster live. Cookie's going to stun him. Yarn's trying to come over, though, but he saw Guts at the last second, so decides against pushing in. But RCY is into the fight. He does have Firefly, but I don't think he has Lasso. No, he does not, but they're going to try it anyway. Avalanche onto 3. Hane goes down. Sarem, well, not as easy to kill off with the raindrops there, so he does survive for a little while extra, but now B9's going to get involved here, and they don't want to be here anymore. It is time to go. They would love the RCY kill, but I'm not sure if it's worth actually going for, as Guts and Mini are going to try to turn around. They're looking to actually take the Tombstone out, but Stonebank comes over. It's a full-on party in the bottom lane, and Stonebank gets both kills, and, ET, I can't help but notice we don't really have any other kills going the other way there. NoRunes just get rocked after they take the Visage down.
Yeah, and they use the Stampede to disengage. It's the disengage that they have to go for, but then they get so greedy thinking that they can turn on the RCY. And then they're getting bird stunned, they're getting picked off, it takes way too long. I think the reason that you force your Morphling to really die with you there if you're Guts is because you're like, I need help, I need somebody to hit this tomb. It should only be a level 1 tomb, but then you just die. And it's not a level 1 tomb. It takes way too long. And Stomach just fantastic rotation from him. Sure, you give Heiko maybe a little bit more time, but again, having an offlaner that cannot rotate, does not do anything with his level 6 except for tries to defensively put you in a better position to maybe look for other kills, just has resulted in this 4K lead, and NoRunes are not finding an opening back into this game just yet.
Well, if nothing else, Mini is farming up okay, but okay is the limits of how we can describe it, right? Because he's still below all the cores on the DogChamp side, and he might be in some trouble here. The Avalanche comes through, the tossback is there, and they should not be able to actually get this. They threw the Tombstone down, but there's going to be the Kisses coming in. Not enough to actually get a return kill here, but it does break up the fight.
Well, now top, here's the problem. You use Stampede for the rest of the map, but now you don't have it to selfishly escape, so this is going to be a slow kill, but unless NoRunes take everybody else from the map.
He really
Heiko
doesn't
is
want to use
certainly
lasso.
dead. Yeah, and he won't have to.
Okay.
He's just trapped. There's just nothing you can do, but... Yep, that's your cost right there. Save the Morphling. Can't do anything for yourself, though.
And, well, we talked about this in the draft when they picked it up, right? Stampede is not the actual escape that you think it is. It can help, but there's zero guarantee that you get out of there. Speed does not equal invulnerability. It's the old haste rune fallacy that a lot of players fall into, but it's one of the only plays that they have, so they have to try it. It's just, it really hasn't worked.
You know, it hasn't worked. 5k gold lead now for DogChamp. You're getting a lot of farms spread out across the map. You still have that big winner that is just RCY, who is one component away from a full BKB at this point.
Jesus.
I mean,
It's
then
12
you really
minutes.
do run out of damage. And then you look over at Min, you're like, hey, can you right-click this guy to death? He's like, maybe, if it's a really long fight. But there's also the problem, I think, again, of this Centaur who just needs a Blink Dagger to actually play the game until he gets it. Doesn't work. RCY, yeah, another kill for free. And that BKB gets closer and closer and closer.
Dude. This is just an absurd amount of farm to have as Stampede will get deployed. They're going to try and make a move. They did spot out the Weaver. Stonebank, though, yeah. He's got time lapse. He's going to reset this fight. Guts, though, is still going in the river. He's getting a couple hits onto Yarn, but quickly realizes there's too many heroes here. That's not a full fight. They can't afford to take it. They do fall back, but Italiano Gangster is sending those familiars forward. He could get the stun down onto Heiko. There's the first. I'm not really sure they even needed the second. Heiko gets taken down, which means they do save that. They could lock down Sarem and the Morphling here. They get the stun onto both. Mini in some trouble, trying to fight his way out of this. Waveforming forward, still looking for the kill, looking for Italiano Gangster, but he resummons the familiars, gets the stuns in again. It's not going to be enough to save him, though. And not enough to kill off Mini, who is... Oh, hold on, Mini! Too many zombies, too many birds. And he doesn't make it home with the TP.
No, it's like 7 zombies. The bird stuns just way too much damage to deal with, and yeah, not pretty. Heiko's trying to defend his mid tower now, and I think he should probably. If he dies now, that would just be almost. That's a feel like you want a GG type situation, and they do kill one bird, so he will only have one familiar for the foreseeable future on Italiano Gangster. But yeah, still everything's just panning out for you. BKB is now done on the Batrider, so RCY is not really the target anymore. You're going to have to find these other heroes, but that's also where, look over at Italiano Gangster, he's working up on that Wraith Pact, and then NoRunes have to have BKBs before they can really take a convincing team fight with how low damage they really are. I don't know, it just feels like all of these 15-minute items, they're not going to get at 15 minutes. We're looking at 17, 18-minute diffusals, Blink Daggers. It's just a lineup that is going to grind to an absolute halt while DogChamp just get the farm when you should be powerful, when you should be able to defend things. But I feel like there's a good few concessions now that are going to have to come out from NoRunes just to keep themselves in this game.
It's not ideal, but your alternative is a very fast GG, so they've got to try and just, well, grin and bear it. See how long they can last as Hane. He's not going to be lasting very long here. Looking for his TP home. Does he make it away? No, he does not. Still, the ability for RCY to be selective on his lassos here is just unbelievable, right? Because now they smoke up, they make another play, and everyone on NoRunes has to run away from this.
No, they have to vacate the triangle. Of course, it's farmed, so there's not anything for DogChamp to steal, but gotta be so careful here on the mid lane. It's just simply, though, where the Batrider literally cannot die. The only way he dies is if he chooses to die, and that's by, like, diving a tier 1 tower and tanking every single tower shot and then not pressing BKB, but good Guts. There's a Blink Dagger on the Tiny. Yarn's also incredibly farmed here. If he goes up, Swashbuckles gives vision and then doesn't channel his ultimate, could just be Guts' death, and I think he feels like something's wrong as well. And did they clip vision? No, they don't see B9, but B9 saw them for a second, but they know that if they defend this tower, it's death, and that's those concessions that I was talking about, as the rest of the lineup is actually looking bottom, but Stonebank doesn't care about you.
Uh-oh. Well, he might have to care now. Stun's coming in, and they get the kill. Sarem, that's unfortunate. That was, he was inside the actual minimal distance, so they weren't able to get any damage there, but they still find the kill on the Stonebank. Lasso, eventually, going to be used here just to make sure RCY gets something out of this, and Well, I was going to say before, this was a pretty solid trade, but if they lose Guts here too, then it suddenly gets a little less valuable for them. Still a kill on a Stonebank, and NoRunes need any source of gold they could possibly find, but Guts still really is not on much of a recovery right now. Oh, hello, Hane. And goodbye, Hane. He is taken down. 3-for-1 trade now, and well, can't afford to give these up if you're NoRunes.
Yeah, and there is some good news though. Your center did just finish off the Blink Dagger. He was actually just farming. It's very sad, but when you have to farm your opponent's triangle because there's no one else or nowhere else for you to farm, then it's pretty bad. But
Yeah.
also where they're venturing into the triangle, they're gonna scout the Blink Dagger though. So now this is not a sneaky play, but underneath so much vision, they need to get the supports over here so they can get those D-wards coming. And I think
Yarn just broke
might
the
just
smoke.
leave. Yeah,
Here comes the
and here
teammates.
Comes the Batrider.
They're TPing in. They've got Heiko first. They're going to stop his hoof stomp, but they're actually looking for Hane over to the side. They're not really doing this as quickly as I think they wanted to, but they will find that kill. It does cost them Yarn, though, but now RCY's in. Can he get off a lasso on anyone? He doesn't have it, so never mind. But he is just tracking with the damage, trying to push in onto Sarem, dropping him low. Is it enough to get the kill? No, it is not. That's because his teammates are chasing after Mini. They get the stun to cancel the TP. Familiars were able to land. There's going to be the Stampede, though. Will it be enough? Mini trying to get away. He's got DOT on him, though, so he will still fall. And again, this Stampede, it's not the tool that NoRunes think it is or even need it to be. They just can't outrun their opponents.
No, they're just getting ran down. They get slowed up. And of course, if they can barely fight when Stampede is available, they still cannot fight versus Batrider when it's unavailable. And that was still not the worst exchange in the world. You got the tiny early, but it's just the cost of losing the Morphling that still feels really rough. And again, there's so many things you have to get past to get this vision. You have to run into Tombstone. You have to run into these birds. They're just not finding an opportunity to look for these D-wards. Maybe now Sarem can get the cliff, but it just feels like it has been such a struggle to get anything going for you. Despite you being the team with the monkey, you being the one that should have at least a little bit more flying vision to play around with. But again, it's a first phase monkey. It's versus Batrider. It's versus Visage. It's versus all of these heroes that just cause you problems. It's why he's a support, because it's just an almost unplayable game for him.
Yeah. That's twice now. I mean, the previous monkey was in a core position, but that's twice we've seen that hero and kind of just groaned a little bit, scratched our heads, and thought, like, what is the plan for this? Because the carry monkey that we saw earlier yesterday did not work out, and this support monkey king basically, I was going to say might as well be a creep, but at this point, the contribution from Hane, maybe even less than that, which is not his fault in the slightest, but there's just so little he can do.
Yeah, now 2 pre-20-minute BKBs are finished up on your heroes. You're ready to fight if you're DogChamp. And Yarn, ooh, nice blink, fast blink in the mid lane, but what do you do versus BKBs if you're NoRunes? You still need your Morphling to find an item. You still need to buy so much time for Mini, and you have to execute perfectly, because if you don't, you get BKB, you time lights off, you turn on the fight. You need to have a perfect chain stun, and I feel like that's where Guts probably needs to look for a Blink Dagger of his own just so he can jump with the rest of his team. And they are still getting some net worth some places, but tier 2 falls. They'll probably look for mid soon here. B9 is capping the outpost smoke, so they do know that a smoke is going on, but at the same time, if Yarn connects onto anything mid, then that's probably your next tier 2. I mean, Guts even still just feels pretty soulless on this Pango. And something DogChamp do need to do is they do need to place maybe a ward on their side of the map just to scout the rats going in and farming their own jungle, just because they're taking so much of the Radiant space away. But that's where, is it time for them to force Roche? It very well could be. We'll have to see, because that's definitely the smart decision to make. Just get your opponents into a fight that they literally can't win and see if they make the mistake, because you're still going to want to defend. And yep, here we go. Into the pit. DD rune as well bottled up on the Weaver, so this is going to die pretty fast. Not that NoRunes wanted to defend this in the first place.
Yeah. Don't really have the option to, so they just have to let this go. And, well, ET, normally we like to talk about the first Roche of the game being not the most impactful, right? The Aegis is a little bit weaker. Normally it's just kind of a farming Aegis, but if you're DogChamp, well, you got a 9k lead. You've already taken one tier 2. This could be the Aegis that gets you up onto a very early high ground push.
No, this could be a very big opportunity. And an Orchid was finished up on Hannes, so Maybe post BKBs, there could be some punishes, especially onto the Weaver. Stomach only has one shot, but also Heiko. Ooh, Blink doesn't get disabled, but so much damage traded out, and now your Morphling cannot sit here. He's just going to have to walk away. This is where you would love Mini to already be top, just getting the split push going, but there's simply no time for him to move. They've already situated themselves bottom. And now here's the question. Do they find the rats? And they do scan, so they know that one hero is looking, and they know that it's most likely going to be Yaren, but at the same time, they're strong enough to take the tower. So you have to choose. Do you take the 3v1 or you take the 4v5? And they're going for the 4v5.
Okay. They find that first kill, or first Aegis. Missed timing with the cookie, though, but the Rolling Thunder is still going to be there. So the Weaver knees out. Can he ult? Can he get the BKB? No, he can't do either. Stonebank's dead. This might be their opening. Have NoRunes found it. They're going to push their way forward. Hane getting out the Wukong's command. He doesn't do a crazy amount of damage, but it's going to be enough to find a second kill as B9 goes down. Now they want more, but Yaren actually pushes in. There's the Avatos connecting. It takes the Monkey King out, but RCY has to do some serious work here. His BKB is active. His Firefly is on, but he's not finishing anyone off just yet. There's the lasso, though, onto the Morph. That means Mini can't actually shift. And that is enough. The second wave in from DogChamp is enough to get the job done. The NoRunes, it wasn't a bad fight. It's just when Yaren goes back in, that is the beginning of the end.
Yeah, and it's really wicked smart, right? 3 heroes are set up bottom to try and kill the Tiny. They say, okay, we have a little nugget of knowledge. We know the Tiny's here, and they take the 4v5, and they perfectly chain some Stonebank. But then DogChamp with the lead they've already built up can take the 3v5 with how strong their heroes already are, and especially the Batrider with the Ag Shard, with the Witchblade, who is still very, very obnoxious. Oh, and Tossback?
Man.
Okay. Yaren can't get his hands onto Sarem, but this is still just the lineup getting a free Rax. Now you just walk away. Don't have to do anything extra here, and they will escape.
So the Aegis does lead to the Rax, not in the manner in which you would normally sort of think, but that is the end result. And now if you're NoRunes, this is gonna get a little bit tougher. It already was pretty damn tough, but even less room for error now, right? Nearly a full lane of Rax taken. You have no tier 2 bot, so that could be an easy swing target for DogChamp if they do get back into the base. So if NoRunes are going to take engagements, it's got to be out here. It's got to preferably be on their opponent's side of the map too, but well, when was the last time NoRunes had the numbers advantage on DogChamp's side of the map? It's not really been a thing.
No, it hasn't, and I'm also looking over at Hane as they're trying to kill his tree, kill his courier. He will escape. Just a little bit of a whiff there, but also you've got a Blink Dagger on RCY, so he can bust this game wide open. He finds the Pango, he finds even the Centaur first, and you're going to lose one of those big teamfight ultimates, and then you're going to be pretty helpless. But that's also where, when it comes to just straight up pushing, NoRunes do have pretty good base defense. It's where the Pango is still very obnoxious. It's where Boundless Strike as well coming in from the Monkey King can be enough for you to actually die. And they are spreading themselves out a little bit thin. They're looking for a play in. RCI with an Invis rune. It's looking to get this game going, but gotta be so careful. This is a bait, and they see B9 on the low ground, but they don't know about the Batrider, and yep, they see him now.
They did stun him
Run
up,
away.
though. And they're going to try and get themselves out of here. B9 does still go down, so they find a target. Hane does have to sacrifice himself, but if he can get everyone else out, it'll be okay. But there's going to be the lasso. Wait, not deployed just yet. Actually, here come the kisses as well, but the lasso does eventually catch. They've got the Morphling locked down. They've got the Morphling taken out. And everybody else has got to run. They get Heiko away. Sarem, though, not looking so hot here. Tries to turn around for the cookie and ambitious to try and go for the bat, but he realized he wasn't getting out either way.
Yeah, and expensive. Maybe if you can get that perfect chain stun on the Batrider, you can trade him out alongside the Morphling, but anyway, they're still stuck after Stampede. You're still just going to lose so many heroes after the fight. It's just the fact of the game. And Guts, Yule Scepter, he's going to get Avatos now. Oh, he's trying to delay it so somebody can get as many hits in as possible, and perfectly executed. Pango dies. They're immediately back to their side of the map. Well, the rats are dead. You are no longer top. Here's DogChamp to try and push for this bottom racks now.
Creep wave is in through the middle lane, so the back door is down. Your NoRunes, I mean, what is your play here? Well, the play is going to come to you. Yarn, though, gets silenced up. He's got a Yules to remove it, but his teammates may need to get him out of here. Boundless Strike is going to stun him. RCY looking for his moment. Doesn't have a lot of HP, though, so he does have to be careful. You see him kind of backing away before he really has a chance to go for anything. But while that happens, Stonebank, objective focused, takes the tier 3, turning his focus now onto the melee racks as well while his teammates create the distraction.
Yeah, and you can see Heiko, he doesn't feel comfortable enough to blink stun the Tiny. It's just not big enough of a kill, and it probably leads to him blowing Stampede, a spell that we keep on reiterating cannot be spent for no reason. You need to get everything with it, but it's unfortunate because now 1 rack's left. You're running out of time, and well, initiation, Monkey's dead.
That's an interesting cookie. It's not enough, but they did make an attempt at it. But yeah, the Monkey's dead. No buyback available. Here's the thing for DogChamp. They can't get Megas. There's still a tier 2 hanging out up top, and oh, the creep wave is being pushed out by the Morph, so Mini's doing everything he can to try and stave off this push. And, well, I mean, it's successful, right? The tower can't be hit up, but B9, he definitely can be. Just kind of lagging behind there. It's a really weird spot for him to be in, behind that tower. His teammates had all pushed forward, so they're able to punish him, but if that's the only play that NoRunes can get out of all of that, DogChamp are more than happy with it.
No, they're very pleased. They do push their opponents back maybe slightly, and okay, trying to play around their high ground vision here, but again, you get the birds, the toss. They do find Stonebank, though. Perfect chain stun.
They finish him off. Yes, they can. Okay. Big kill there.
Now does RCY do it all?
He's going to kill Sarem. He's got lasso. Guts, you can't be here anymore, but he got stuck. He's going to try to get himself out with a swashbuckle, but he is being chased. Meanwhile, Heiko in a fight with Yarn. He's going to stun and run, but that means Guts is left alone in the river, and they do take him down. So even when they make a good play, picking off the Weaver ET, the cost is just too high.
No, it ends up being still very expensive, and we're running out of things to lose here on NoRunes. They will get to respawn, and I guess the benefit of having everybody so low level is your respawns are still pretty short. You know, it's just another kill for your opponents, but at least we're not worried about having to buy back here because nobody's having a great game. But that's where maybe the light at the end of the tunnel is Mini Scotty. This will certainly give you kill potential at the very least onto the Bat Rider. And I could see Morphling suddenly getting 1,000 gold off of the Bat Rider's kill streak being the first thing to change this game. But I also feel like if I'm DogChamp and I'm smart here, I just wait for Roshan. Roshan's 45 seconds, but they're going for the jump instead.
Doesn't look like waiting. Yep, they're going to make the jump onto the Morphling. Can they blow him up in time? Yes, they can. Mini's dead. Heiko, that is so unfortunate. He sent his courier on a secret mission, ran it through the tree line just to get that halberd, and then he dies pretty much instantly even after using it. So 2 heroes dead. There is a buyback on that Morphling at this point, but I don't know.
They're Megas.
Yeah,
that's GG.
They're going to call it.
Yeah.
GG called.
All of that just because they've got these lane wards. They adapt. B9 changes his vision up a little bit. He was maybe giving them the benefit of the doubt for the first 15 minutes of the game, but once they started farming their own jungle, he was like, nah, you're just going to get lane warded on. We're going to see where you're going. We're going to track you down. We're going to kill you. What a performance from RCY, but also Guts. Ooh, dropped the ball so hard. I feel like this is where there were other heroes. There were ranged heroes. If they really wanted to, they could have changed it up. But I also feel like not banning Bat Rider and first picking Monkey King, it's just a simple counter. Done. Dusted. We don't even need to talk about it. That's just a fact of the game. And unfortunately, NoRunes, they force Hannes to have to play that matchup, which was not fun.
Yeah, that's it's a situation where Hane might not be talking to his teammates for a little bit. You know, maybe take an hour or two to yourself because they really put him in a rough position. Unfortunately, for both Hane and his teammates, they don't have that time. They still have a second game coming up here. This is now their 3rd straight loss on the day, ET. So, listen, it's gone about as poorly as it possibly could, but you have one last game to play, one more opportunity to try and find a point. They've just got to try and rebound, try and bounce back.
Yeah, and, well, speaking of DogChamp, if they get a 2-0 here, well, their next opponents are 5-man Midas and then Wolf Team. And really, all they need to do is catch Wolf Team and then maybe hope there's a little bit of dismay for another team. But they could be peeking in closer and closer. It's still a difficult road. It's where I think a few teams need to just straight up stop getting points for them to make it. I think they can still probably alley-oop over 5 red force staff, but that's where maybe this is their time to try and make upper. I think they have to get 4 straight wins in a row, but hey, if this is just the beginning, I mean, they looked great in game 1 here. See if they can keep it together for game 2.
Yeah, I think I did have it in the notes here. Um, they needed to win 5 of their last 6 to have a shot at a tiebreaker scenario. Now they have won 1 of it, so it's 4 of the next 5, but it's a good start. There's still some hope for them, and if they can get some points at NoRunes' expense, they are going to shoot for it. So we'll see what Game 2 has in store. We're going to be moving into that game in just a couple of minutes here. Before we do so, however, do want to get you that word from our sponsor once again. It is HyperX and the new HyperX Armada 25 FHD gaming monitor, which is set to release in the very near future. So, to celebrate the upcoming launch, they are running a special site-wide sale during BTS Pro Series 12. You can use code HXBTSArmada to get up to 20% off MSRP. Click the banner below the video player as well, or use the code being posted in chat. So, we've told you about this monitor multiple times, pretty much every day, but we'll go through the whole thing once again. The 24.5-inch display has those IPS panels for that high range color gamut. Comes with the mount as well, so you can set it up however you want on your desk, clear up some extra space. 240 Hz refresh rate, 1 millisecond response time, and NVIDIA G-Sync compatible, which thanks to ET, I do now know what that means. So, but yeah, it is a very nice monitor. You can see it on your screen right now with the fancy graphic. It looks good, and you can get yourself a bit of a discount on it. So once again, that code is HXBTSArmada. Get yourself up to 20% off. So thank you to HyperX. Thank you for sitting and watching through the ad read as well, and we'll be right back with that Game 2 draft in just a few minutes.